Why is this podcast?
Hello, welcome back to Why Is This Podcast, where I ask questions and you call in to answer them. And first off, I'd like to say that while I'm recording this, it's Father's Day. So I'd like to wish everyone out there a belated Happy Father's Day. To all you dads out there and to your dads and to all dads in general. I got up this morning and cooked my son some French toast and sausage links, and we sat and had breakfast, and it's been a good day. But without further ado, let's get into the show here. Social media. This ought to be fun. So my question was, why do you use social media? Now, I can tell you why I use it, okay? Well, for one, I'm pushing this podcast on social media. I'm guessing that's probably why you're listening. I do like to keep up with friends and my family on there, just to see what people are up to. I like the comic value of a lot of the fan groups I'm in, and I enjoy stealing memes from people and sharing them. I don't so much enjoy arguing with people, but every now and then I have something maybe a little incendiary to say on there, or at least controversial to some people. But for the most part, I just kind of like, having fun and sharing Star Wars memes and, Seinfeld crossovers and such. Another reason I think I use social media is, it almost feels compulsory now. Like you're supposed to use social media. Like it's the only way to keep up with some people. Phone calls, as my hotline will tell you, are almost non-existent now, and it's just so much easier to shoot somebody a message on, say, your Facebook Messenger or Instagram, because they'll answer it, and it's hard to get people to pick up a phone lately, so that helps. But let's find out why you use it. Let's get into a call and see what's going on.
Well, hello, why podcast? Why do I use social media? Sorry, it's loud. I'm outside. Trucks pass on the county highway. Why do I use social media? It's not to keep up with my family. It's so my family can keep up with me. Foremost. No, I said it was secondary. My primary reason to use social media these days is to have a place to put pictures of my daughter. Should all the other fail-safes in place, fail, and I lose all the data in the cloud and stuff, blah, 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 because of my daughter. I want, the world to agree how beautiful she is. After that, I don't know. It's not really to keep up with friends and family. Fuck, I don't know if I keep up with any friends these days, hardly. I rarely see people that are my wife and my daughter. But I do like to, it's interesting, like I don't use social media to follow people that were my closest friends. From way back. It's more like people that I wish I had the mindset back then to appreciate like the kind of people they are. Just Eddie, like you, for instance. I hope you don't mind I talk about you personally, but like you're always the guy who did stuff or appeared to do stuff that was super cool, effortlessly. Well, I was the complete opposite. I felt like I tried very hard to do those things and very poorly, and unnaturally. Like when I look back at it, I'm looking back, like you carry yourself with a comfortable in your skinness that I didn't gain until years after. growing up. And I like to follow those people on social media, and I'm not sure why, because it's nice seeing that they turned out the way that, like, I thought they would turn out, like, relatively happy, and just, in some ways, being completely the same person, like, I can remember them as, in a very transparent way. Like, again, sorry for being personal, like, when I remember finding out you and your wife were a thing, like you and your wife together, and looking back, like, it absolutely made sense that you two would have gotten together, and gotten married. Absolutely. I think about that a lot with, like, people.
Well, it looks like this call got cut off, and I'm pretty sure I know the caller. It's someone who used to live down the street from me a long time ago and moved halfway across the country. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's doing well. And yes, you have an adorable daughter. He called back to add this.
Hey, why is this podcast? My call dropped at 3 minutes, and I have no idea where I was in my rant. I still wanted to apologize, so you don't come. Anyway, later, man.
All right, later. Thank you so much for calling in. I guess now would be a good time to let people know that the voicemail hotline, which is a Google Voice hotline, cuts off after 3 minutes. So if you've got a longer message, feel free to call back and say part 2 of, part 3 of, whatever you need to do. Take all the time you want. I love having a in-depth conversation through voicemail. That'll work for me. But as far as the call is concerned, well, I'm flattered that, first off, that you thought of me that way. And, some things came easy, some things didn't, but I'm kind of hard-headed, so if I really want to do something, I'm going to do it one way or another. But you bring up something good. Things like Facebook and Instagram are really good for scrapbooking. They're really good to keep a photo album. And, I spend a fair amount of time sharing pictures of me and my family and, things that we do together. And a few food pictures. I shared my French toast on there this morning. So, it is good for a photo library. And it's good to thumb through sometimes just to see how much your life has changed or to see how much your friends' lives have changed. And I know, caller, that your life has changed a bunch over the last couple of decades, and it's been way too long since I've seen you. The next time you're in Birmingham, give me a call. Heck, leave a message on the hotline, and I'll get back to you. And like I said, I hope you're doing well. On that note, let's take a little break real quick, and we've got a couple of more calls. Okay, I'm back. We've got a couple of more calls here. We've got one short one and one longer one. Let's take the shorter of the two calls first and see what else we've got here.
Hey, I use social media to keep up with friends, fans, the Far Side cartoon, comic strip. I use it for my hobbies, and to find new friends, and to block people that I don't like.
Thank you for your call. That seems to be a popular item on social media right now. There's almost a sport out of blocking people, and honestly, I've cut a fair amount of people out of my life lately, because some of them are just rude. They're obnoxious, and everything they do points towards an argument. So yeah, I use the block feature a lot, and Also, I haven't looked at the Far Side in so very long. I need to check that out again. As far as hobbies are concerned, there's one thing that I love about social media, and that's the fact that there are groups and pages out there dedicated to almost anything you're interested in. For me, it's Star Wars or, guitar equipment groups, or there's a lot out there for me that doesn't involve some sort of disdain that is not going to turn into some ugly discourse. I try my best to stay away from that, and it's hard sometimes, but yeah, it's easier to just block people. And it's I do learn some things about my friends sometimes, and sometimes some of those things are very surprising, and I love that about social media. But yeah, The Far Side. It's been a minute, so I'm gonna have to check it out. Thank you so much for your call. We've got one more, and then we'll get into our closing.
Hi, Jeff. This is someone who would prefer to stay anonymous. But if you know me, you probably recognize my voice. So, my answer to your question, why do I use social media, have changed over the years. I guess at first, when I started using social media several decades ago, probably to keep up with people and meet girls, promote different things that I was involved in, whether it be art, parties, shows, bands I was playing in, which I'm sure you're pretty well aware of that. And then over the years, started using it as a web presence for other things like, a business. And at the moment, the only reason I really use social media is to sort of keep up with old friends from time to time. But the main reason is to use the Facebook Messenger voice call or video call to talk with my daughter when she's with her mother. And other than that, I would probably get rid of social media for the most part, just because the political climate in this country over the last 6 years is just really just kind of disgusting, man. It's caused me a great deal of anxiety. All these idiots pointing the finger and making up stuff about stuff that didn't really happen, and it's just idiotic to me. And I think we'd all be better off without it, or at least, maybe people should have to pass a class before they are permitted to use social media. Just a general, decency and ethics on the internet certificate, But anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Have a good one. Hope this helps. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks a lot. We are doing well, and I appreciate your call. And I know this caller. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope your daughter's doing well. And she's adorable too. As far as the political rabble that goes on with social media, I'm not a fan. Every now and then I'll have something to say about politics, but I try to stay away from it for the most part. People get overly ugly about these things, and this is where people start using that block feature. I don't want to cut people out of my life, But at the same time, there are some things that I just plain don't want to talk to them about. I'm not going to change anybody's mind, and they're not going to change mine. So what's the point? As far as politics are concerned, you settle that at a voting booth, or the anarchist club meeting, or whatever you want to do. But I don't want to argue about those things. It really is sickening, and it's tedious. It really takes the fun out of social media. And you hear a lot of people talk about, well, you should just go back to posting cat pics and that's great and all. But I like to keep up with people. I like to know what they're up to, and, I like to see my friends doing well. And that's the main reason that I use different platforms of social media. Now, I can go ahead and tell you that Twitter is a dumpster fire. Okay, I use Twitter. I use Twitter to promote this podcast. It is a dumpster fire. I cannot stand it. Instagram seems kind of fun and kind of light because it's typically just pictures, and people don't really seem to get into the ugliness with it. Facebook is a mixed bag. It's the old standard, well, at least since MySpace disappeared. And, may it rest in peace. I kind of miss it. You get a good mix of ugly politics, funny memes, current events, and, smiles and giggles from your friends. And it's a weird melting pot on there. I have, a couple of thousand friends on there. I know for a fact I haven't met more than maybe 100 of them in real life. And that's fine. I don't have to, go out and have a cup of coffee or grab a beer with everybody I've ever spoken to. But I do like conversing with some of them. I do enjoy some of the time, particularly when it's something silly. That's probably the main reason I use social media. I like to laugh, and there's plenty to laugh at on there, whether intentionally or not. So, on that note, that's social media to me. And I'm glad to know that some people use social media responsibly. And I'm glad to know that some people would rather do something else because it's not everything. And in the end, it's my opinion that things like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, are not real life. And sometimes it's just better to sit down and read a book, go out and ride a bike, go out to dinner, go to a show and meet some people, some actual brick and mortar friends. And that's kind of my take. And again, I appreciate every single call I got this week. And I guess it's time to get into next week. So my question for next week goes a little harder. There's an article, I think it's on Vox, an article floating around that's talking about bullshit jobs. Okay, do you know what a bullshit job is? And it's not the one where you walk around because they're overworking you and you say, man, this is bullshit. It's not that. Bullshit jobs are the type of job that was just created so that someone can be sitting at a desk working, or at least appearing to work, because people have to have jobs. And usually the people working these bullshit jobs are very unfulfilled. They're to the point of depression or madness over it, because they're not really affecting anything. They're doing a small amount of work that could easily be done as part of someone else's day, or, by a computer program. And it's really disheartening to some people. Now, I don't have a job like that. I actually have a job where I'm doing something all day, and I like it. I don't think I could do a bullshit job, But if you have a bullshit job, call me and tell me about it. I want to hear your experience. I want to hear what makes a bullshit job to you. And, you know, if you've had to work at a call center or, you know, thumbing through Excel files to find little bits of information that could easily, you know, be picked out by a piece of software. Or maybe your job is collating paper that came off of a printer that could probably do it by itself. You know, the fact of the matter is that technology and modern machinery have cut out so much of the more tedious and particularly the more physically strenuous or dangerous jobs that people used to do. And there's not a whole lot of work left for people. So now jobs are just being created just so people can say they have a 40-hour work week. When the article I was reading suggests through studies that by the end of the century, everybody in this world could be down to a 15-hour work week. And they would have all the other time to go out and do what they wanted. At any rate, tell me about your bullshit job. Give my hotline a call at 205-530-0354. That's 205-530-0354. You can find me on Twitter at WhyIsPod. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Why Is This Podcast. If you would rather send an email with a soundbite in it, you can find whyisthispod@gmail.com and send me your reply. And Why Is This Podcast now has a YouTube channel, so if that's your preferred medium, hop onto YouTube and you can check out every episode. And maybe there'll be some extras on there. That was a pretty good show, and I appreciate everybody listening. I hope to catch up with you next week, and until then, always ask why.